Hello everyone, Big Seven here, back for another SuperCoach BBL video. Apologies that I wasn't able to get a video out last round. That was on the Thursday night, and that was the night I went to the tennis, saw the Kokkinakis and Andy Murray game, and so by the time I got home, it was after 5 in the morning, and I just wasn't able to put out a video before the start of the next round, so I didn't decide to do it. The other thing I need to address is that I made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologise. And the reason for that is I traded out the GOAT Matt Short. And Matt Short, he scored over 100 last round. And I looked at the team sheets. I made this trades that I said I was going to make in the last video. And then going into this round, my plan was to get in Nisa, Renshaw, and Agar. Agar was my pick of the Perth bowlers because I already had Ty, and I thought he was the one that was most likely to get 2 games out of the other ones. Renshaw obviously in form with the bat, and Nisa has a habit of picking up poles. And then I saw the Adelaide Strikers team list, and I saw that they had reverted back to going with 4 specialist bowlers with Matt Short and Colin de Grandhomme to split the 5th bowler duties. So I panicked. I went away from what I've been preaching all year, which is just target the double players. The single games will sort themselves out. I could have got Nisa. I decided I needed to get Short back. So not only did I trade out Short for, I think it was 113 last week, I traded him back in this week for a score of 10. And I should have just stuck to my guns, gone for hard at the double game weeks, gone for Nisa. But I've shot myself in the foot. So my trades this week, Abbott out for Short, Travis Head for Agar, Connolly for Renshaw. And Renshaw was a good trade-in. Agar, a bit unlucky to miss the second game. Payne was the only other Perth bowler apart from Ty that survived the second game. So, I could have gone for Payne, but I thought Agar was going to be a bit safer. So, my scores. I was sitting in the top 400 at the conclusion of round 10. And then I had a shocking week, 29,000 for the round, which is my second worst round total. That pushed me back out to 841. So I don't have Matt Short. I didn't have Matt Short for that week. And the player that's gone off recently, and if you've had him, you would have skyrocketed in rank. That's Steve Smith, back-to-back hundreds. Didn't bring him in at any stage. Unfortunately, my cash situation was a bit dire. I'm fairly sure I recommended him in an earlier video, but I wasn't able to get there myself. And so this week I scored okay, 819, but it's still a slight rank drop. I should have brought in Nisa over Short. I'm going to blame sleep deprivation for that one because, again, I went to the Kokkinakis and Murray game, got back after 5 o'clock, and then worked the next day at 9. And that also explains the blunder I made with my captaincy. I put the vice captain on Aaron Hardy. He was on 57 after the first game. But I fell asleep about halfway through that game, woke up in time for the second game, and it didn't even occur to me that I had a loophole that I could have used, and I would have used if I realized it. Instead, I just looked at the Heat team sheet. I was thinking about bringing Steckity instead of Renshaw if he played, but he didn't play, so I thought my team was all good. So I ended up with the captaincy on Bazley, only 72. A lot of captain options didn't do that great this week, and Andrew Ty only scored 82. I think people went for Nisa, who I don't even know how much he scored. I think he scored 100 odds, so I didn't lose too many points on the captaincy front, but still far from ideal. I should have taken Hardy, and yeah. So Matt Short, mentioned him, traded him back in. He was super disappointing. And then I loopholed McDermott and Sams. I decided I didn't want to take a 10 from McDermott, so I decided to field Sams, who also got a 10. So a bit of a waste of a loophole. But had Bancroft, who scored well, didn't have Payne, had Renshaw, had Hardy. So I scored okay-ish. I still went down a little bit in rank. And so my dream 2 rounds ago was to break into the top 100. That's well and truly dead. So I guess my aim for this week is to hopefully stay top 1,000. And I'm going to try and build a team that I guess will try and win weekly with. So with Perth on the bye this week, and this is the last round of the season, if you've got Perth players, you might as well trade them out. So, and also the Hurricanes have the double. So I will be putting my Hurricanes players on field. I will be loopholing where I can. So I guess I'll be loopholing Brisbane players. So my plan for this week, I've already got 4 Hurricanes players, but there are a couple more I think would be handy additions to the side. So I've got, in terms of bowlers, I've got Ellis, I've got Meredith, and I think the third linchpin that I really want to have is Paddy Dooley. I'm assuming he's fit. He's been injured on and off this tournament. Didn't play the last game, but I assume he's fit. I haven't actually looked into it. If he isn't fit, then I might take the gamble on an Ashraf. But I'm trying to pick 3 bowlers and 3 batsmen. So Paddy Dooley is my pick of the bowlers if he does end up playing. The second player I want, he is a Hurricanes batsman. I've already got Wade. I've already got McDermott. And the way I see it, there's 3 players to pick from. Tim David, who has been the top scorer for the Hurricanes, capable of hitting big scores and also getting a strike rate bonus. Caleb Jewell, he will be opening, had a really hot patch in the middle of the year, has tapered off a little bit. He's still an option. I think I'm going to avoid him. And then the other option that's a bit more of a pod is Zach Crawley. I think he's batting at 3 or 4. I think he had 1 good innings early on. So 102 in the first game week. I think that might have been a double. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then 60 against the Stars, hasn't done that well recently. And then 2 games coming up, the Sixers and the Heat. I think he's more of a punt. I actually don't mind him. Darcy Short's back in the lineup as well, but not really that interested. I'm going to go Tim David. He is, I guess, the safe play. And so after that, I'm going to see where that leaves me in terms of my team. So I'm definitely going to want Wade. That's a loophole. That was a bit of a waste. So with this setup, I definitely want Sam's on field. So I guess I can take Basley off. It's a lot of wicket keepers I've got. So I guess I don't really want Khawaja on field. I guess no matter what I do, I'm going to have to play 2 Brisbane Heat players, or at least loophole them. So if I'm doing that, so I guess I can see what Khawaja scores, and I have to field one of Renshaw, Labashane, or Basley. I think that was, which round was Utah's? I think that was round 2. I'm fairly sure that was the game at Utah's, 172, 164. So that wasn't a bad batting surface by the looks of things. So I think I would take the punt with the Renshaw. Oh wait, does that work? I guess I can loophole them both. If they both score well, then I can leave my team as is. And if one of them, well, I guess I have to choose one of them either way. So whoever scores more out of them, I keep that Perth player on field. So if Kawaja scores more than Badsley, then I keep Inglis on field. If Badsley scores more than Kawaja, then I keep Agar there. And so that leaves me with a punt. And that would be. How do I want to do this? I think I would want Renshaw there. And so, yeah, that gives me a punt for the final round. I can go. So, who do I want to go as a punt? Got the Renegades and the Strikers at Marvel Stadium. The Strikers have just been collapsing like crazy, and their bowlers haven't been lifting either. But it's the Renegades, and being the Renegades, this is probably a game that they drop because it's a must-win game for them to make finals, I'm pretty sure. So, a Renegades collapse, maybe? Or I could go for Strikers run score. Especially if Kane Richardson's out, then he could go a Strikers run scorer as a bit of a pod. So that would be someone like Travis Head, but Travis Head's been pretty out of form. Kerry, I think, batted at 3 last game, and he could be an option. I guess in that scenario, I would be hoping that Short and Carey both go off, and I guess I'd probably want Adelaide to bat first in that scenario. And if I was going to do that, would I be able to loophole? So if I was going to get Carey, then I guess I'd have to do it like that. Because Waden Hanscom is my captaincy loophole. And then if I traded Inglis to Carey and Inglis to Carey, then I can decide if I want to go with Carey or if I want to take the risk on Kawaja. And then, the other punts, Sixers and Hobart. I don't really want to go into Sixers players because I've got 6 Hobart players, so I'm hoping that all of my Hobart players do well, so I'm kind of banking on them winning both of their games. Likewise with the Heat, I've already got a bunch of Heat players. So the other game I could punt on is the Stars and the Thunder, and I don't mind a bowler from either side. So in terms of bowling options, Luke Wood, he isn't the greatest player, but he's got the role to do it. And the Thunder have been collapsing like crazy. And you know what? It would be on brand for the Stars to be rubbish all year and pull out a complete performance in the last game of the year where it doesn't really matter to them. And where have we seen this precedent? Last year. Last year, out of finals contention, Glenn Maxwell absolutely destroys my hopes of getting socks by having the best performance ever with a bat and destroying me. So I'm tempted to go a Stars player as a pod. I think if you're of the opinion that the Stars will continue to be trash, then I don't mind someone like a Gurinder Sandhu or Chris Green as a bowling punt in case the Stars collapse again. But I'm feeling a Stars player. I feel like, I don't know, gut feel says that the Stars will have a good performance and pull something out of the bag. And it also means I can loop Kawaja and Basley. So if I had my team like that, then I can bring in a bowler. So I could go for Bo Webster. He is fairly popular though. I guess I want to go for someone that's a bit more of a pod punt if I'm going to go for weekly. Coulter is really expensive, but he's probably their best bowler per se, but bowls a bit too much in the middle order. If the Thunder are going to collapse in the middle order, though, he's a good pick. A lot of weeks of 40s, but also 160 in there. I think those are both doubles, actually. 160 in the double and 180 in the double. So he is capable of hitting big scores, but it also looks like his floor it hasn't been too low either. So I think I would prefer Coulter-Nile. It just depends if I need to use a bat or a bowl loophole. Actually, no, it doesn't matter because if I get Coulter-Nile, I've got Kawaja covering. Who have I got Kawaja covering? Ah, yes. So if Kawaja does well, then I swing Agar into my batsman and Sam's is the bowler. If Badsley does better than Kawaja, then I leave the team as is. So the last question is captaincy. And Blundstone Arena has traditionally been a batting friendly wicket, small ground. But this year it seems the opposite. A lot of low totals have been scored there. And so I'm leaning more towards going for a bowler. And then they play the Heat in the second game at what might be a neutral deck. I'm not really too sure because there's only one game being played there this year. But the Heat, again, their batting's been underwhelming, and it really shouldn't be with Kawaja and Marnus both playing, but I just got to call a fact a fact. The Heat's batting has been underwhelming, so I think a bowler is probably the way to go. It's probably a toss-up between... I think it's a toss-up between any of the three, to be honest, Dooley, Meredith, and Alice. I'll put it on Alice for now. I don't think that'll change. And then I'm going to, and I could just straight captain Alice if I wanted to. The reason I'm not is just in case of something freakish happening. Like, for example, if Alice got injured halfway through the first game, then you know that you're not going to want to take his score. I know in 95% of scenarios, I'm going to take his score. If he scores anything over 20 in the first game, then I'll take that. But yeah, if he had a really poor score, then I'd probably be tempted to put it on short, even with Alice's second game in hand. So this is what I'm thinking of doing. I might change the Coulter-Nile pick to someone else. Thinking maybe Carey or a Thunder bowler. Could even go for a Luke Wood or a Hatcher or someone like that. I'm definitely targeting one of the two games that I'm not invested in with Hobart players because I want to try and have the highest ceiling possible to try and hit a weekly score. If, for example, Steve Smith goes off again, then that means my three Hurricanes bowlers probably aren't going to score that well anyway. So I might as well diversify a bit across the 4 different games and hopefully try and win a weekly before the end of the year. I know that's pretty unlikely, but hey, if I can finish top 1,000 and it isn't a wasted season, it is a bit disappointing to fall down from 400 through to 850 odd, especially looking where I've come from. Started the season at 8,000 rank and was progressively getting better and better each week until the last couple of weeks. And this will be my second last video, so I will do a team review at the conclusion of the season and also lessons I've learnt and things I'll try and take away into the next season. But more on that in the next video. So hopefully you're in a better position than me and shooting for a top 100. And I wish you all the best of luck for this week. I'll see you for the next video and best of luck.